formidable robot.
December 20th, 2022. Personally, I don't know how to start this, but I love Nintendo. The console I grew up with was the Nintendo 64. The games on the console are great, but the one I liked the most was Super Mario 64. Unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. If I remember, my parents sold a lot of games that I had, and as we were moving at the time, we managed to keep the original Super Smash Bros., in which I had a lot of fun playing. In my teenage years, I managed to save up money from my allowance, and I decided to just go ahead and buy the game. I didn't need to ask my parents, as they know where I am going regardless. So I went across the street to the nearby GameStop next to Walmart because it's kind of a sub-mall with GameStop. Anyway, keep in mind that my first idea was to get the game from eBay. I don't necessarily trust the sellers though, so as a quick fix, I went to GameStop to see if they were having a nostalgia sale or whatever. For some reason, I didn't expect this, but I found the game along with other games, and without hesitation, I purchased it because of the nostalgia trip. So I returned home, turned on my Nintendo 64 to begin playing, and the game began as it usually did. I was greeted by the 3D head of Mario, and I pressed start. It played the cutscene where Mario jumped out of the pipe, and at this point, I didn't really find anything weird. It was like any other Mario game. Though keep in mind that this game was not cheap, it cost the exact same as what you would expect from a Super Mario 64 copy on launch. Anyway, when I first started the Bob-omb Battlefield level, I collected stars one by one. After I reached the top of the mountain, King Bob-omb came there to greet Mario and say his line. For some reason, his brother is mentioned in the text. I don't really remember what it said because I was focused on the good part of the level, fighting King Bob-omb. I did notice the text though. I remember it said something about Luigi. If you saw the text in the original game, it was familiar, but this game included a different way to end the message. I didn't care since there's nothing weird about hearing Luigi mentioned in any of the Mario series. I finally collected the star after I defeated King Bob-omb. It was just me having fun. Well, I played the game until I unlocked the basement after defeating Bowser and getting the key. I didn't go into any detail because nothing really fascinating happened, and at that point, I entered the basement. This area admittedly creeped me out as a kid. I mean, it was pretty dark down there, and it gave me an eerie feeling like the regular game gave me. I don't know why. I just walked around. I usually stopped periodically and mashed the buttons on my N64 controller to activate something. I don't really know what I activated though. Looking back, I think I might have activated some kind of secret, and eventually I reached the part of the basement where the picture frame of Lethal Lava Land is after running through the halls. For some reason, instead of the figure in the picture frame, it was Luigi. This version of Super Mario 64 is so dedicated to Luigi for some reason, that it's almost like the Year of Luigi thing is still continuing. I personally didn't find anything wrong with it since I like Luigi as a character though. It was odd. Again, it really didn't seem too out of the ordinary. I mean, Luigi was planned to be in the game during the beta testing days, but I simply just jumped into the picture frame, and I was sent to the level afterward. Lethal Lava Land was the same as it normally should be, but some platforms were missing, and coins were gone. I began looking for stars to collect in order to unlock a level or star room. I eventually arrived at the platform where Mr. I was supposed to be, but instead of Mr. I, Luigi was standing there on the edge, not moving at all. I approached him to see if he was just Mr. I with a different model. I mean, this could have been a modded version of Mario 64, a personalized copy, or something else, and I accidentally pushed him into the lava. I had to say, I felt kind of bad for him. His screams and cries for Mario were not distorted or recorded by a different person. They were made by Charles Martinet, the voice actor of Mario and Luigi. Maybe judging by this being clearly recent, it sounded like the screams were AI generated. After Luigi's flesh melted and he drowns in the lava, a star flies out of said lava, and I collected it. I was instantly sent to Peach's castle, but for some reason, I was knocked out of the picture frame like Mario is when he fails a level. I noticed that the water surrounding the frame was red, and Mario had a terrified expression on his face. Right behind him though, Luigi looked noticeably different in the picture frame, almost like a zombie. His clothes were darker, and his skeleton was now visible. His clothes were torn as well. Every time I tried to find my way out, it was like the endless staircase that you need to go up to defeat Bowser. But except this time, every door was locked, and the gruesome imagery of Luigi stayed on my mind even after I turned off the game and went to sleep. Trust me, I tried everything that would get me out of this situation. I tried doing the backwards long jump to get out of this, and it didn't work. The unsettling aspect was that Luigi in the picture frame appeared with unnervingly clear graphics, almost like 1080p, far beyond the game's usual resolution. This level of detail was incongruent with the console's age and technical constraints, making it feel out of place within the game's original aesthetic. Titles like Super Smash Bros. Maintained the N64's characteristic visual style, which contrasted sharply with this depiction in Luigi's picture frame. The image of Luigi's disfigured form in the frame rendered the original graphics obsolete. Strangely, I found myself drawn to this altered version, captivated by its unsettling realism. Chances are, I won't encounter this version again, but fortunately I captured screenshots of every moment. The bloodied water then rises. I could do nothing as Mario drowned in it while performing his animation. There are no more lives since I guess the game took them all, and it returned me to the intro with Mario's head. The game went back to normal, though at this point, I turned off the game and I'm simply not taking any risks anymore, okay? I'm done. If you want to play this version of Super Mario 64, though luckily I copied the original game file and brought it over to the web, but good luck finding it. As for the game itself, I still have it since after this situation, the copy is back to normal. There's no creepy moment where Luigi gets burned by Mario pushing him, and I'm able to play it normally again. How did I put the original game on the web? I dumped the ROM, and for goodness sake, I am not going to give you a link. For now though, I'm protecting this blog, and if my brother ever finds this game, this blog will be given to him, as just like me, he loves Mario, and he knows more about this stuff than I do. Hopefully he will do a better job than I did with this blog with my grammar, or really anything. Nothing's going to happen though thankfully, and I will be fine. I will just enjoy my copy of Super Mario 64 in the meantime. Though my wish is for my brother to record this experience and hopefully do a better job than I did. Anyway, goodbye. I'm hoping that I will stop having nightmares of Luigi getting his face burned off and his screams. September 25, 2023. Look at that post too. I recently found this blog thanks to my brother. I had a huge problem trying to record this for him, as he requested. Apparently he told me something about a story called Burned Luigi. Am I correct on that? It's kind of a stupid name. Why would you name a story that? I won't care too much, he's my brother anyway. For a proper introduction to whoever is reading this post, my name is Joseph. I did not write the original post that was locked, my brother did. Recently I got a hold of this post, so I'm writing it now. Well, enough dilly-dallying. You wanted a post about something creepy, right? Well, you're probably going to get it now. If you knew my work on the internet, you'd know I love writing and creating games as a little hobby, and I knew this was my opportunity. So I gladly agreed to take over this blog that my brother was trying to write. One thing I noticed about this post is the use of bad grammar and such. For those grammar checker experts who like correcting others' grammar on the internet, my grammar is dodgy and terrible too, but I'm sure it will be way better than my brother's grammar, I tell you that. Well, back to what I'm talking about. I recently stumbled across the ROM that my brother posted on the web. I thought it was a virus at first, but if it came from my brother, I had to trust him, right? And besides, it was Super Mario 64, how could I not? It's definitely a favorite of mine, next to Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo and Luigi's Mansion on the Nintendo GameCube. Of course, you are expecting a bloody and totally scary mess out of this post, right? Well, I'm expecting to write about one too. Just stick with me, we will see together. Anyway, I started downloading the ROM, and judging by how I have Project 64, I could play this easily and record the thing, in case you think I'm lying. Either way, my way of recording things like this may seem like I'm just lying and writing a story to scare others. The ROM finally downloaded, and I was able to play it. Though I had to drag it into a folder with my other games, and luckily it's been converted into a Z64 file in the first place. Heck yeah, I can play this now. The game started with Mario's head, of course, like anyone would expect when they play this game. I decided to play around with Mario's face, pulling on his ear, nose, you name it. I pressed start, and it took me straight to the selection screen. One thing I noticed is the save folder from the time my brother was using this blog. It was refreshed to 1 star for some odd reason. I opened it and was met with something quite odd. It was a still frame of Mario in the basement, completely flooded with water. Of course you know, it was in the original game anyway. Lord, I was hoping I would have a day where I don't mention anything creepy, something that children may find creepy only, in a post, but instead I did. Basically, Mario was lying in the water, dead, not moving at all, still as a picture, and the water was reddish, mixed with blood. It would have been obvious anyway, it was playing Bowser's Laugh on repeat, and it got deeper at the last frame. How long was this going to take? God knows how long, but it finally took me back to the selection screen. This time, the original save file, Mario A, had Mario's head in the center of the gray square but with his eyes completely closed, and he's puking red water out of his mouth. The HUD that had the stars and new text was completely gone. There's no way I could open the save file back up, my only options were B, C and D. I opened B, but the same thing happened though. This time it showed a close-up of the lava in Lethal Lava Land, and there was Luigi's hand coming out of the lava. I don't know why Luigi was in this, as he was never in Super Mario 64 in the first place, only when the game was still being worked on. For your information, he was found afterward after the rumors of him being in the game were spreading like wildfire. There were also frames of Luigi. They weren't very fast, so I could see them and describe them to you. It was a photo of Luigi, clearly edited and taken in-game. He was burned, and the photo was black and white, as if it were taken during the older days. His mustache was completely gone, as was his flesh, revealing his skeleton. His clothing was also torn, revealing some bone underneath. You can see this in the video as well, if you're following along. Some things had to be cut because I wanted you to figure them out yourself, or because I didn't find them important enough. As with the first save file, it took me straight to the file selection screen after a little while, now this time showing Luigi's burnt and disfigured look in the center of the gray box, though it got refreshed back to a new file. My only options were C and D. I entered the C save file and prayed to God that it would grant me at least one game. It didn't grant me a game sadly, though instead of that, I got an in-game photo again. It turns out, my job was done in the first place. Bowser was destroyed, though he was decapitated. Who did it? Well, if you've been around since the first post, you would know that Luigi drowned Mario, and he might have been the one that killed Bowser. It was playing the Big Boo's Haunt theme on repeat, but deeper and slower for some reason, and after a little while, it took me to the selection screen. Though the background was completely distorted and had Luigi's face flashing on the screen, Bowser's head was on the center of the buttons like Mario and Luigi, again not pressable, and my only option is D. I hoped for a game, or else I'm wasting my time. I pressed the final save file, and it was actually a game, though it took me directly to the Bob-omb Battlefield level, though the scene was dark and depressing, and there was the music that you would hear in Dire Docks. The audio was peaceful, but it gave me an uncomfortable feeling of abandonment. What I meant by that is, do you remember what happened with King Bob-omb? He died, and the battlefield has been left to rot. I don't know who runs it now, but you will find out in this post. I climbed up the mountain, dodging the black balls going down the hills, and when I reached the top, my screen started glitching and going out of frame. The man on top was indeed green, burnt and fleshless. It was Luigi. When I saw him and approached, my screen got darker and darker, then flashes of the Luigi picture again started appearing faster and faster. Randomly there was a video of a man staring at me, overlaying the flashes of Luigi's face. This wasn't Shigeru Miyamoto or Charles Martinet, but this man who flashed on the screen was definitely an employee at Nintendo. How did I know that? He had a uniform on. I don't know about this man yet, but he might have importance with this file and explain why this version of Super Mario 64 is the way it is. My theory is that this man could be the one who added Luigi, but he did it in this way without Miyamoto's knowledge. From what I'm thinking, he might have done this because Luigi was his favorite character, and he got angry over the fact that Nintendo didn't add him to the game, so before launch, he broke into one of the copies and snuck it into my brother and my nearby GameStop that's located in my Walmart submall. No, I don't live at a store, I live in a town that I won't give my address to. Though that's my theory, it shouldn't be true. I also forgot to mention the fact that my screen capture of the Bob-on Battlefield broke, so you may only hear audio, though the beginning of the video where it shows the selection screen has been shown working perfectly. However, my screen capture usually flashes now and then when it happens, but in the recording, you may see some weird stuff. Let me know what you see. In the video, you may also notice how choppy the video is. I apologize for that, my computer isn't very good. Anyway, I can't continue this post any longer. Before I end this post, this is being recorded with OBS Studio, which is something I've been using for a while. Well, please have a good day. I will continue this again in post 3 if I ever find anything interesting. Oh wait, I'm getting a call from a curator on the Mario Amino. Let's see here. It's Take a Soda. I will answer this. Sorry, no video footage was recorded yet, and I don't even want to know what happened to my game or what Luigi did to it. He might have damaged it. That bloody green plumber. I recently felt my computer overheating at times, and on my desktop, I heard deeper laughs of Bowser playing on a loop and screams of Luigi burning in the lava in Lethal Lava Land. Though even if I didn't record any footage today, I wrote down some things that Take a Soda and I said on the Mario Amino. Me, hello, what do you need Take a Soda? Are you asking me about a post violation or something? Take a Soda, no. It's regarding your theory of the second post. Me, please specify, please. Take a Soda, okay, so you know how you came up with the fact of someone over at Nintendo getting angry at the fact Luigi wasn't in Super Mario 64, right? Me, oh yeah, that, I remember now. Take a Soda, basically it's true, that employee literally threatened to kill everybody in Nintendo of America. Someone I knew who worked at the company at the time told me about this, and he had to evacuate the building. Me, did the deaths of Mario and Bowser mean to replicate anything relating to the threats? Take a Soda, yup. One time, he told me that the employee wanted to drown someone, and for another person, he wanted to decapitate them. Me, oh wow, what was the employee's name? Take a Soda, his name isn't known, and he explained himself Luigi for some reason. He had an obsession with Luigi for some strange reason. After that talk, Take a Soda ended the call, and sent me and other leaders and curators to a private chat together to discuss it with people like E1229, Meth, A.Grump and other admins of the community that I'm following. Me, oh. Take a Soda, yeah, I created this private chat just now. Luigi joined the conversation. Take a Soda, wow, I didn't invite him. Me, yeah, where did this guy come from? Meth, don't disappoint Luigi. E1229, don't disappoint Luigi. A.Grump, don't disappoint Luigi. For your information, those were the only people who said that message. Other leaders and curators remained silent. Me, wow, what the actual crap was that? Don't disappoint Luigi. Luigi, shut up. Whoever is doing that has to stop. Take a Soda, I think it's the Luigi user, someone has to kick him out. Luigi left the conversation. Me, thank God. Take a Soda, yeah, who was that? Me, Ben. Take a Soda, what? No, he didn't drown. Be serious, Joseph. Me, okay, sorry, this is confusing and intriguing. Burn Luigi joined the conversation. Notice how the user's name has burnt at the beginning of the text. How did this happen? I think the fact that I'm on Amino's desktop site means the virus might have found its way into the browser. I don't remember ROMs doing something like this. Burn Luigi, I am Nintendo, I am Nintendo, I am Nintendo. Me, I think my computer has a virus. Burn Luigi, I am Nintendo, I am Nintendo. Me, Luigi, shut up already. Take a soda, here, I will take care of this. Burn Luigi left the conversation. Take a soda, there, I banned him from the chat, but judging how I couldn't ban anyone from the community, I asked a leader on here to do it. Me, good, thank you. I know, you guys might have been annoyed over how that user was giving off cringe dialogue to us, and it sounded like something you heard from these types of stories. But I'm telling you right now, that's what the user was saying to us, and yes, he was spamming that to us. He also private messaged us, even if some of our messages were turned off. The same thing happened again. It literally felt like the endless staircase, but not in Super Mario 64. It was in an endless loop, and the user kept being banned but kept coming back when we didn't invite him in the first place. Burn Luigi joined the conversation. Burn Luigi, hello. Me, hello. Burn Luigi, hello JosephTheSnail. Me, hi. What do you want from me? Burn Luigi, do you want to see a photo of me? Me, why are you asking me? I guess. Burn Luigi, great. It was from our last meetup. Me, I'm sorry, what? Burn Luigi sends a picture, clearly photoshopping an old picture of me sitting on a log, and he's holding my hand. Me, I'm sorry, I do not remember taking this photo with you. Burn Luigi, happy birthday. I heard your birthday is October 8th, correct? Me, how did you know that? Did you check my Discord too? Burn Luigi, I have my reasons. Take a soda, I'm sorry, but what is this? Oh no. Me, I know right? What is this? Burn Luigi, it's just me. It's a me, Luigi. Me, no you're not. You're not Luigi. Burn Luigi, yes I am. I'm Luigi. Me, no you're not. I know Luigi, he's a hero in the real Mario games, and you're something else. Burn Luigi, but I'm a hero. Take a soda, you know what? That's it, I'm deleting this chat. Me, please do it, it can stop this. Take a soda then deleted the chat, and then Luigi, the one from the private chat, went on my wall and said that I wasn't a fun person. Luckily he blocked me afterward, and I can officially have peace. Well, at least for now. Well, my only option is to turn this computer off and go to sleep, maybe it will stop. Well, see you guys in the third post if I'm still around at the time I write this. I will be around. It's not like this figure or game can hurt me. I just have other work to do, like school and the like. October 9th, 2023. Hello, it's Joseph again. I apologize for not posting about this in so long, and unfortunately I couldn't get video footage last night. My computer keeps acting up, and it's driving me insane. This might be because of Avast, my antivirus software, kept tagging Project 64 and my Super Mario 64 file as viruses. I uninstalled it, so I should be able to record it later. I should also point out something. When I was writing this post, I noticed that my wallpaper had changed to that disturbing grayscale photo of Luigi, the same exact one that showed up during my gameplay. This startled me because it was the normal desktop picture earlier. Thankfully I was able to change that freaky Luigi photo back to the original one. I've attached a screenshot of my wallpaper from that time for those who are curious. Sorry for its slow resolution though. As of last night, I haven't really checked the Mario amino much, and thankfully when I did check, there were no messages from that Luigi guy. However, when I checked Discord, like I usually do, I was instantly hit with a message. Burn Luigi, hello JosephTheSnail. Oh, for the love of God. Yes, this thing has the app icon, formerly known as bot, which shows that Burnt Luigi is a bot. Yeah, I know, Captain Obvious speaking here. Burnt Luigi, how are you today? Me, good. You? Burnt Luigi, I am fine. Remember me? This guy must think I'm stupid or something. Of course I remember him. I had to deal with him in these past posts, and I sent him a very toxic response, which is usually what I do when someone makes me super annoyed and angry. Me, of course I remember you. I had to deal with you and your stupid spooky shenanigans. Can you please leave me alone already? That was too much, I know, as he basically just asked if I remembered him. However, if you were reading my original posts about this freak, you would understand why I hate this guy by now. Burnt Luigi, I am Ginten. Me, don't start it. Burnt Luigi, why shouldn't I? You banned me from the Mario amino. Me, no I didn't lol. I am not even a leader or curator there. I am sorry for not bringing this up in my second post. Judging by the fact that a former curator Takesoda deleted the chat and I blocked Luigi, I didn't have the chance to see if he was banned from the community or not. But when I asked a higher up in the amino, they informed me that yes, they did ban Luigi from the amino, so there you go. After I said that I am not a leader or curator, he started saying random gibberish, and of course I started responding with annoying sentences used by other users. Burnt Luigi, the earth is flat. Me, who asked? Burnt Luigi, Donald Trump is actually the 45th president. Me, okay, but who asked? Burnt Luigi, I am Nintendo. Your death in real life will be by being burned alive. Me, ellipses. This guy was definitely trying to scare me by giving me those old-fashioned death threats, and of course, using that ridiculous I am Nintendo catchphrase of his. Burnt Luigi, I hate you. Me, very original. To be honest, I am becoming less and less scared of you by the moment. Clearly I lied when I said I was becoming less and less scared of him, as he later sent me my home address. Obviously I am going to censor it for my safety. Burnt Luigi, you live at, redacted. Me, great dismay emoticon. Like anyone with sense would, I reported the user for exposing private identifying information. Luckily, Discord took action and dealt with the user. Hello again. I know I said hello twice, but after that one Discord incident, I've been having recurring nightmares, and I remember them all very clearly. Some of them were unrelated, but half had something to do with that copy of Super Mario 64. Something inside me really wants me to sit down, shut up, record, and play the game. Please trust me, I don't know what's in that game, and I don't know what it wants from me. I will share my nightmares with you. Please forgive how short the paragraphs are, there isn't much to explain here. I had one nightmare where I was doing my nightly walks, and there was a moment in the dream where I felt like I was being followed. I kept walking until I felt it. It was a gloved hand, and the fingers touching my shoulder felt bony. I couldn't even feel the nails, so I immediately stopped and turned around. I was going to tell this freak to stop following me and get a life. Hey you! I stopped when I looked at him. He looked like Luigi, or at least a man who looked very similar to him. The man said,
"You've got to help me."
I seemed confused and looked behind him, noticing a house on fire. I immediately took action and called the ambulance. They arrived quickly, but all of the people in the vehicle looked like Luigi. Everybody looked like Luigi. I rubbed my eyes, and they turned out to be normal people. Is everything alright? They asked me, and I said, yeah. As I was going to explain the burning house and the identical Luigi fellow, I noticed a dragon-like creature in the far distance. It was revealed to be Bowser. You knew what to expect by now. Screams were heard, and the town was burning to a crisp. I woke up in a sweat, hoping to get a nicer dream. I slept again, and once again, another dream. I woke up in a claustrophobic tunnel. The walls had the same texture as the ones seen in the basement of Peach's castle. It was extremely dark down there, so dark that I felt very paranoid as I imagined some unsettling face appearing out of the darkness and staring at me. With each step I made, I heard the footstep audio from Super Mario 64. What did I expect, coming from behind me? I got even more paranoid with each step until I couldn't control it anymore. I made the big mistake of turning my head to see Luigi's burnt and charred body. He wasn't in his N64 model, but instead he looked more like he was made in CGI. I saw every unsettling detail of his corpse, his rolled eyeballs, the burnt eyelids, horrific teeth, and holes in his clothes, such as in the torso and gloves, revealing bone. It made me uneasy. Obviously I kept walking, staring behind me, which stopped him from following me. I was afraid of turning my back. Once again, I risked my life. Even though this was a dream, I started running and running until the tunnel became wider. The footsteps behind me got louder and louder. I looked behind me and saw Luigi trying to catch up to me until I looked around me again. What I saw was a hallway full of Luigis standing, making me afraid to touch the wall, even though that seemed gross. It got even grosser as I started smelling the stinky breath of the plumbers, which is typically what you expect from rotting corpses. They all started chanting,
Continue playing the game. Continue playing the game. Continue playing the game.
I started to cover my ears, still running and yelling stop over and over again, until they all went away, along with the one chasing me. My fear soon went away until I entered the courtyard, where I saw the Power Star fountain in the middle. Feeling calmer than before, I looked into the fountain, and what was originally fear turned into sadness. I saw Luigi, the real one, stuck at the bottom of the fountain. He was being held by tentacles or vines. His face was incredibly pale, and I noticed blood coming out of his jaw. Clearly he was trying to live on those air bubbles that allow you to breathe longer underwater, if you've never played Super Mario 64 in your entire life. I noticed that he was reaching out his hand to me, which made me assume he was trying to get help from me. I rolled up my sleeve and grabbed his hand. I was mumbling, "Come on, you can do it, buddy." Luigi immediately tried to grab my hand with as much strength as he could. I started to hold my grip to prevent myself from letting him go, with my anger boiling, knowing for a fact that his burned counterpart was responsible for this. There is no way this was an accident, and there is no way Luigi would just casually fall into the fountain and be held by vines. Plus, he would use his strength to get out. This was not the case. Thankfully we were both making progress. As I saw his face peeking out of the water, he was gasping for air. I successfully pulled him out of the water as Luigi's color started returning. "Luigi, please, are you okay?" Luigi then replied while coughing up some bloodied water.
"Joseph, please finish this game. Save the Mushroom Kingdom for me and my friends."
Luigi spoke once more.
"Wake up. There is still time. Stop him from ruining my reputation further."
I woke up, and I will finish this game in my next post. I will do it for my safety and his safety and figure out how to end that monster once and for all. August 12, 2024. Hello, this is the fourth post. Well, we are back at it again and ready to record some video footage. Especially since I built up the courage after those horrible nightmares and trying to save Luigi from that fountain. Now again, I know I was having nightmares, and they couldn't possibly be real. To lighten the mood with a bit of humor, how can this be real? This is just a game. Though in all seriousness, I am interested to see if I can help the poor guy. I've developed a theory, and I'm assuming that since Luigi was in that fountain, it must mean that the monster isn't actually him but is trying to ruin his reputation. However, this is just a theory, but there's certainly a possibility. Anyway, I loaded up the game again, being greeted by Mario's head. You get the idea, and I do too. So I pressed start, which brought me to the file select screen. Thankfully, it was all normal this time. If you've read the second post, you may remember the files showcasing some graphic screens, such as Mario's drowned corpse in the basement, Luigi's hand reaching out of the lava, and Bowser's decapitated body. Not to mention the faces of Mario, Luigi and Bowser appearing on the files, they weren't there anymore, which was a blessing. So I hit the first save, the one with the single star. I should note that I have attached the video in the post, so you can follow along if you want to and point out certain things I might have missed. Back on topic. As soon as I entered the game, I started to notice that something wasn't quite right. Specifically, I noticed that 2 of the trees at the spawn were missing, but all that remained were the shadows where the trees used to be. That wasn't the only weird part though. Sure, the audio with the birds and all of that was perfectly fine. However, as I looked at the sky and castle, I noticed something strange. It was even stranger than the lack of trees. When I looked up, I noticed the sky was dark red. Sure, it may look black depending on how you're viewing the recording. But the strangest part was Peach's castle itself. Sure, everything remained intact, except I noticed that the top part of the castle was completely done, with the windows floating in midair. Instead of a picture of Peach in the window, it was replaced with a grayscale photo of Luigi. Of course, it had to be the one with the monster. It looked as if the picture didn't fit properly, with the frames sticking out. Now I know for a fact that the picture was intended to be in the game, as it looked like it was in the same style. While unnerved, I was also interested and wanted to explore more. I didn't want to enter the castle, I wanted to see the rest of the map. So I moved towards the water. Surprisingly, it wasn't blood or anything like that, which somewhat brought me a sense of safety. Just regular blue water like it is in real life, nothing strange. Though again, if the water had been blood, that's when I'd start questioning things. But in this case, I saw nothing unusual. I explored some more, checked the water underneath the bridge, again nothing strange. But I know some of you are hoping that there's going to be something strange. I checked the signs, expecting some creepy message, my home address, or something like that. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Not even a new paragraph, which made me feel a little safer as I looked at the butterflies. Seeing them around, along with the fish in the water, made me feel less unnerved. As I looked behind me, I saw the top part of the castle in the distance, which looked surprisingly cool if you ignored the castle behind me. I continued exploring some more and went to the side of the castle, which scared away the birds as I jumped around like crazy. But as usual, everything was the same. As I started getting bored, it wasn't long until a message appeared above saying the following word in the sign's text. Drown. Was this how I was supposed to unlock Luigi or something? I mean, I noticed the irony as I saw the image featuring Mario drowning, which was dark, sure. But since I was doing it to save someone, I found it both odd and interesting. Now I have never seen the game make a message appear like that, which was fascinating. But since I had no choice, I had to obey what the game told me to do, which was to jump into the water underneath the bridge and just sit there in the water until Mario ran out of air. As guilty and villain-minded as I felt, I didn't think I had a choice. Heck, maybe this could possibly spawn me to the El Israel 2401 statue or something. I have many theories, but they're probably not true. As I sat there, Mario finally performed the drowning animation, gasping for air until he died. Instead of Bowser's laugh and all of that, it took me to an odd screen, which removed my HUD as if I were getting a game over or something. I was looking at a black screen with nothing but an entity that resembled Mario's model, except he was missing the eyes and the logo showing the M initial on his hat. I heard no music until he started talking. Judging by the way he was speaking, I assumed he was either addressing me or somebody else. What I heard was the merry-go-round music, which normally plays in the haunted house level, but distorted. I heard this as he turned his head towards me. Player. You have to help me. Please listen. That monster, which looked like Luigi, isn't actually him. You need to destroy him, he is holding me captive. Can you? Hello? Since I didn't say anything, he shut off my game. But I chose to say yes, typing it into my keyboard. Not sure if he wanted me to speak into my microphone or not, but just in case, I communicated through the keyboard. Regardless, I'll see where this takes me tomorrow. That's all I have to say for now. I'll update my post tomorrow if I come across anything interesting. Cheers, mate. September 15, 2024. I want to start this post by saying that this isn't going to be my final update on this copy of Super Mario 64. I'll continue to post until I find a way to completely wipe that anomaly from the game. As it turns out, I lied about posting tomorrow in my previous update. Sorry everyone. The reason I haven't been posting lately is that I've been feeling sick. Why? Well, I've been having fainting spells and throwing up at school. I had to stay home a few times and felt lightheaded. I'm feeling better now though. I still don't understand why all of that happened right after I posted burnt.wmv on YouTube. If it was because of that specific video or something, then that's just ridiculous. Thankfully I'm back, even though it hasn't been that long. However, I've been speaking with my therapist lately about the strange Mario figure I saw before the game shut off, before I even answered. If I remember correctly, looking back on these posts, he was asking for my help, saying he was being held captive, and he wanted me to save him, along with the real Luigi I'm planning to rescue. I will do this, but I'll need to get the video footage ready. Before you ask, yes, I used a cheat code to unlock a 100% save file, as paranormal investigators don't sit around playing games for fun, they take their investigation seriously. Regardless, I opened Project 64, loaded my Super Mario 64 copy, and started playing. I'm sure you've heard this before. I opened my previous save file from last time, which was oddly empty this time, and I ended up in a different part of the courtyard at Peach's castle. It was the same location with the Power Star monument that had a message beneath it, which I still don't understand. Like, what is it? Eternal Star, or L is real 2401? Despite not understanding the message, I noticed that all of the boos were missing, including the boo with the cage, which would normally break the game, but I didn't care since I didn't need to go there. I also noticed that all of the trees were gone, except for one. However, that tree had burned Luigi's model on it. The missing trees still had shadows beneath them, but one shadow was clearly misplaced. It was standing behind the fountain. I could have easily climbed it, but I didn't want to test that theory, considering the consequences of what might happen if I did. When I looked up, I saw that the sky had turned from red to pitch black. I ignored it and slowly approached the fountain, when the endless staircase theme started playing very slowly. Then an image of Luigi began flashing rapidly. It was the same black and white image you and I saw earlier in this post. It was Luigi, or burnt Luigi, standing in the dark with his mouth wide open, almost as if he were smiling at the camera. The music grew louder as the image continued flashing. The portrait of Lethal Lava Land also began flashing, until it all finally stopped, and the following text appeared. Luigi has been unlocked. The text was in the same font as the messages on the signs, just like the drown message in my previous post that caused Mario to drown. I had completed one of my goals, rescuing Luigi from burnt Luigi, and was rewarded by being able to play as him. After the text, my character switched from Mario to Luigi, and I was no longer in the courtyard. As I made my way out of the castle, I noticed that the toad who's usually next to the entrance was completely gone. It was as if he had left in a big hurry. He was there before I unlocked Luigi, but now, like I said, he was gone. I went outside, but this time, all the trees were gone except for one. Again, it had the burnt Luigi texture. Descriptive, I know, but there was something pointy sticking out of the top of his head, which I couldn't explain. Might be a texture error. Luigi looked even more compressed. He was just standing there in front of the castle, staring directly at me. Clearly, he was angry that I had freed Luigi, the one who had been imprisoned and framed. Trapped beneath the fountain, he had caused all those L is real 2401 rumors to spread like wildfire. I slowly approached him, and then the screen started flashing black, as if one of my PC adapters was acting up. My monitor sometimes goes black at random. A loud buzzing sound followed, and then the game crashed. I guess I'll have to end this post here and troubleshoot what happened, because this is getting really weird. September 19, 2024. I tried some troubleshooting. It took me days to figure out the issue, but I found nothing. However, interestingly enough, my computer did find a strange text file that repeated "I am Nintendo" 100 times, ending with "Don't disappoint Luigi" in the same way. Aside from that, I am now sick with strep, so I had to stay home from school. However, this gives me time to type all of this out. It's currently 7 p.m., and no, this isn't my usual bedtime. I typically go to sleep around 11. Now I have some interesting stuff to share, so keep reading this post and stay with me. This time I loaded up the game, and it immediately started outside Peach's castle, or in this case, Burnt Luigi's castle, with me as the actual Luigi, an interesting combo I must say. However, this time he was no longer standing in front of the castle like before. I started exploring the layout outside the castle, as I hadn't examined it thoroughly before. I headed to the bridge on my right. The trees were all gone. So I continued toward the castle, knowing there wasn't much on the left. I threw some was and wahus as I jumped my way there, like any Mario 64 player would. I won of them. When I got inside, I ran toward the door with Bob on Battlefield. As I've mentioned in previous posts, I haven't really interacted with the levels, only the castle, and I feel bad about that. I think in my second post, if I remember correctly, I couldn't share footage of Bob on Battlefield, and for those who think it was lazy writing, it wasn't. OBS Studio is just garbage, it doesn't always capture everything. I'm pretty sure I accidentally stopped the recording when I entered the level, so you didn't see anything. When I entered the room, the Bob on Battlefield portrait was thankfully still the same. I was expecting some spooky image, like a black and white photo of burnt Luigi, or something worse, like a frame from a snuff film or gore site. I made my character jump out of excitement because honestly, I didn't feel like getting spooked. Any normal person would understand that. I entered the level, Big Bob-omb on the summit. However, I wasn't going to defeat King Bob-omb because, if you remember from post 1, when this blood was handled by my brother, he was already defeated. As of now, Burnt Luigi has made himself the leader of Bob on Battlefield, turning all the Bob-ombs into his slaves. The level played out normally, but I noticed the missing trees. Thank God, because I really didn't want to see that image of Luigi again. The sky was black, and unlike the castle, the level was darker and gloomier. Also, I should note that this game is super laggy, so I apologize for that. It's the case with all ROMs on my computer, even the normal ones. I noticed the chain jump was missing, along with its gate. Normally you go there for the 6th mission, behind Chain Jump's gate, which is an easy star if you know how to ground pound. Without the gate, I could collect the star at any time, easy win for me. However, I skipped that for now because I wanted to find a 1-up to give myself an extra life for later. I knew where one was, under the bridge at the entrance to the mountain with the rolling black balls. As I slid under the bridge, I found something strange. The green mushroom was missing its eyes. Even though I needed it, I hesitated. No eyes on a mushroom. I was concerned about what it might do. Yes, I know mushrooms don't normally have eyes, but given the weirdness of this copy, I didn't want to risk it. So I left it and went back for the star I'd passed. I collected the star and returned to the room with the portrait. Then I headed to the courtyard to see what was happening. From what I've gathered, this area seems to be Burnt Luigi's little hangout spot. Yes, I still can't believe I'm calling him that, despite how absurd it sounds. To those watching the footage, you're seeing this right? Notice how the screen pans to the fountain. There are 3 trees, or rather, 3 burnt Luigis, on top of the fountain, like some kind of cult ritual. I checked to see if the caged boo had returned, it hadn't. I looked up at one of the pillars on the right and saw another Luigi staring directly at me. I'm not joking anymore, this is really creeping me out. If you listen closely in the footage, you can hear me breathing heavily in fear. I tried to move around, but when I looked back at the fountain, they were still staring at me. Standing there in horror, I turned toward the door and ran, but I heard the endless staircase music playing quietly in the background, layered over the castle theme. I didn't look behind me. I don't know why, but that music was creepy enough, and it managed to scare me even more than running up those stairs in the actual game. Seriously, the endless staircase music sounds like you're being chased, and it fit this situation perfectly. I rushed back to Bob-omb Battlefield as quickly as possible. I felt safer there, despite the enemies. Even though I'd already done the 6th mission, I just wanted to do the first one to escape that castle. At this point, I was ready to grab the mushroom. I didn't care what it might do. I slowly approached the mushroom and finally built up the courage to grab it. Then the screen froze and went black. I watched as burnt Luigi emerged from the shadows. I hate to say this because I know people might find it unrealistic or cliché, but when burnt Luigi had his head down, the image was unnervingly clear, far beyond the game's usual resolution. It appeared as though the game had been transformed with contemporary graphic enhancements. Burnt Luigi looked hand-drawn, not like his in-game model. The character mirrored the terror from my subconscious, animated in a disturbingly lifelike manner. I'm slowly coming to the conclusion that this might just be a hacked copy of Super Mario 64. I know that sounds silly, especially with how old this game is, but this goes beyond the N64's capabilities. Some people might have thought I was joking in earlier posts, but now I'm serious. You can see it in the footage. I'm starting to experience what my brother did. I'm in shock at what I'm seeing. The background audio is heavy drums on repeat. It sounds like it was pulled from somewhere else but is using the game's sound font, or at least something close. Burnt Luigi lifted his head, and this was the first time I heard a voice outside of in-game text. It sounded like someone trying to imitate Luigi, but monster-like, as if they were practicing Italian and doing a terrible job. He said the following message, and I'm typing it out word for word.
It seems like you've disappointed Luigi. Like I warned you not to. All this time. Now I'm willing to give you another chance. But if you screw this one up, I will delete your save file again. Actually, I might keep doing that anyway because I get so much enjoyment from watching you suffer. I will talk to you on Discord, and if you even think about messing with me, I will become your boogeyman. And one for your little friends on the Mario Amino community too.
After that, burnt Luigi faded into the darkness, and the game closed. Another text file appeared. If this keeps happening, I might just make a folder exclusively for burnt Luigi's ramblings. I hope he won't mind. Apparently I'm now required to talk to him on Discord. Do I want to? No. Should I block him? Probably not a good idea. I'll see what I can do. Thankfully he can't read these posts. He's both dumb and horrifying at the same time. September 26, 2024. I could have sworn Discord banned this guy already, but I guess he wanted me to talk to him for some reason. Alright then. Forgive the strange way of starting this post. I'm getting a bit tired of writing the same hello post insert number here already, apologizing for not posting updates, and all that. I just want to get right into my experiences, as I know you're all eager to hear more and help me, so I'll stop wasting your time. Before I start, I want to thank you all, including the Mario Amino members, for taking the time to read these posts, watch the videos, and believe them, or not. I can't thank you enough. You're the reason I feel calm and haven't gone insane. So after the previous posts, burnt Luigi and I were talking on Discord again. Like I said, how is this guy still talking to me if he's banned by Discord for breaking their terms of use? Does this freak have a bunch of alternate accounts or something? I'm curious. Here are our messages. For some reason, these seem to be directed at my work. This time, I'll just write down the messages word for word and let you analyze them, rather than narrating like I did in my third post. Burnt Luigi, hello Joseph. Me, hello, do you need anything? Burnt Luigi, yes. Me, what exactly do you want? Burnt Luigi, I checked out your stories and that game of yours. Me, you mean Five Nights at Prototype Fredbear's? And if you saw my stories, which ones exactly? Burnt Luigi, yes, I mean that game. And as for stories, you wrote Sammy the Cat, correct? Me, correct, I wrote Sammy the cat. What about it? Bird Luigi, so, you wrote the story featuring that interesting show from 2019 and that human in a white homemade cat costume with black patches, googly eyes, and that wide smile? Me, very specific, but yes, that's the story. Bird Luigi, cool. Smiley emoticon. Me, thanks. Honestly, you're acting strangely nice to me. Bird Luigi, no problem. I am Nintendo, I am Nintendo, I am Nintendo, I am Nintendo. Me, shocked emoticon. You good? Bird Luigi, yeah, don't disappoint Luigi. Me, okay? Bird Luigi, sorry I got carried away. Don't say okay to me like that, or I'll murder you. Me, Bird Luigi, hey, did you write the crumbling house next to me? Me, yes, but do you mean crumbling house next door? What you said is the original name. Bird Luigi, oh okay, got it. Me, so you're aware of my work? Bird Luigi, thanks to your browser and Google, I know about your work. I must say, you have one messed up mind. I'm also learning about internet slang like YOLO, GTG, LOL, BRB, LMK, BTW, and ILY. You get the idea. Me, nice to know you're starting to be a simple internet user. But how did you get access to my browser? Bird Luigi, one word. Virus. Me, okay, so my computer has a virus. Thanks for admitting that. Let me see if I can use my antivirus software against you. Wait, what? This isn't possible, my computer says I have no viruses. Did you confuse my software or something? Do I have to throw this computer out? Bird Luigi, dude, calm down. Just follow my instructions, and I'll get out of your computer. Also maybe you shouldn't have said that, just saying. Smiley emoticon. Me, first, why are you saying dude? Oh right, internet slang. But what do you mean by shouldn't have said that? Are you going to come out of my computer and kill me? Nice try pal, that won't happen. You're a game character, you might haunt my nightmares, but not here. Bird Luigi, oh. Like I said, I am Nintendo. I'm in control, and that name symbolizes my power. Nintendo created all the games you play, including Super Mario 64. You're playing my games, my puppets, and what I created. You. Me. Are you implying that you're God? That's the cheesiest thing I've heard yet. No, you are not my mother. Plus, aren't you male? Bird Luigi, if I didn't create you, explain why on YouTube Mario Amino and DeviantArt you have me, of all characters, even over Sammy the cat, prototype Fredbear, or a picture of yourself as your profile picture. Me, wait. Did you seriously change my profile picture? I didn't question it and just dismissed it as one of my typical edgy things. Bird Luigi, you finally caught on. Looking at that Discord picture of yours, maybe I could change it too. And as for that second channel, JTS, so many possibilities, so many things I could do. Me, why are you wording it as if you were in my accounts? Seriously, what is your problem? What did I ever do to you? Did I even take my meds today? Bird Luigi, so many questions that will remain unanswered. Me, I swear, if you don't get out of my computer, I will lose it. I won't hesitate to throw my computer out the window. Bird Luigi, I swear to God, I learned that abbreviation too. ISTG. Me, okay, but when did I ask? And didn't you read what I said? You haven't answered any of my past messages. Bird Luigi, I sure didn't. And do I even care enough to? How about you get off that computer or phone of yours and have a fainting spell, for all I care. Me, okay, how about you get out of my computer? I'm reporting you to Discord. I hope the admins even send it to the police. These threats of yours have to be against the terms of use. Isn't that considered bullying? I'm pretty sure death threats are illegal and can get you jailed. Before I blocked and reported him, my final message was, I wish for you to screw off and leave me alone. I don't care if I'm disappointing Luigi like you say, and I definitely don't care if you're Nintendo or not. Goodbye. Heart emoticon. Was this a reasonable reaction? Yes. Was my reaction a bit dramatic? Probably. Look, I get upset easily, and this nonsense from this guy wasn't an exception. He literally hinted at hacking me and even threw in a death threat just to get under my skin. As I said, if making death threats isn't against the law, then I don't know what is, especially when someone's threatening you with medical issues. I know Bird Luigi didn't directly say I should die, but still, telling me to have a bloody fainting spell is cruel. Those are awful to experience, especially with the nausea and vomiting I go through. I miss being a kid again. Now I have to deal with difficult assignments in high school, and on top of that, I sit down to write these posts to share with my therapist and all of you. My therapist doesn't seem to believe most of the details, but I'm thankful that you guys are making an effort to help me. Sure, I may have been dramatic in these posts, but if you were in my shoes, you might not blame me. Honestly, just dealing with fainting spells and some illness isn't making things any easier. I hope things improve when I enter adulthood, but I know that will bring its own challenges, like paying bills, taking my future children to school. Not that I'd have an issue with having kids, but they might face problems like mine, and so on. Now please keep in mind that, despite my experiences with this copy of Super Mario 64, I don't hate the game or the series, heck not even Luigi. I'll continue to enjoy Mario, and I won't let this haunting experience ruin my love for the series. Okay, I'll stop rambling, but I had some horrible nightmares after those messages were sent. Please don't laugh, and yes, I mention this because Five Nights at Prototype Fredbear's was involved. Just hear me out. I understand that Five Nights at Freddy's isn't that scary anymore, considering the fanbase and all, but don't get me started on the content farm rabbit hole. Basically, one of these dreams involved Sammy the cat and some of the crumbling house next door. It was so vivid that I remember everything very clearly. In the dream, I was inside the crumbling house next door, which genuinely freaks me out, considering that when I wrote that story, I actually lived next to that house. You can see it in the photo used in that story. It looks exactly like the one from that story. A television was on, and no, this won't turn into one of those lost media posts just because I mentioned a TV. Let me explain what happened. The screen showed the text Sammy the cat, scrolling across with the year 2019. Yes, it played out similarly to how I wrote the story, but when it showed Sammy staring for a solid minute, it cut to the man eating from a bowl. I could swear I saw him, Bird Luigi, lurking behind the television in the dark, bending down and staring directly at me as the scene played. Then Sammy, the costumed man, twisted his head directly at me in a grotesque way. He stopped eating, and his googly eyes fell out of his face. I could see Richard Turner's face underneath the costume, which I'd confirmed was the actor in the sequel, Sammy's Secret. He looked completely burned, similar to Bird Luigi, with the same eerie teeth, which was strange since I never wrote the actor as dead. I watched in horror as the mouth, which shouldn't have been possible given Sammy's costume design, opened completely wide, and maggots inside the corpse began falling into the bowl, wriggling. Richard, still in the costume, dropped to the ground as an eye socket fell out, revealing more maggots inside. I saw Bird Luigi in the background of the DVD, holding the blindfolded woman from the main story. Instead of Sammy shooting her, I watched as Bird Luigi opened his jaw and started placing her into his mouth. Then the episode ended with his teeth slamming down onto her neck, accompanied by the sounds of flesh tearing and bones breaking. After that dream, I had another one related to Five Nights at Prototype Fredbear's. I was inside Fredbear's, the setting of the first game, while Joseph's World Incorporated served as the location in the second game. I checked the cameras. Prototype Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, Lolbit and Bonnet were all on stage. But I noticed movement on one of the cameras, specifically in the area behind the stage where Jack Kennedy, better known as Spring Freddy, usually appears. Instead, I saw Bird Luigi. I checked every camera, and he was actually moving. Normally in the game, whenever characters move, the camera feed abruptly cuts to static. That didn't happen this time. It was as if I was watching him move in real time. Then I saw him at the office door. I tried to close it, but the door acted as if the power was out, until finally I managed to shut it. I had to double tap the button because, on the first try, it sounded like the door was jammed. It felt as if my vision was turning red, and the building itself seemed to be rumbling or slowly collapsing. Once the door was closed, I noticed that Prototype Fredbear and the others were moving as if they were being controlled like puppets, their limbs wiggling and floating in midair. I'm pretty sure Spring Bonnie is the only one usually capable of that, since hanging is part of his normal behavior. It also seemed that Burnt Luigi had somehow replaced Shadow Fredbear, because it looked like I was seeing two versions of him at once. Jack Kennedy was also Burnt Luigi, but this version behaved like Shadow Fredbear. His appearance even matched the grayscaled image I'd seen of him in Super Mario 64. It wasn't long before Burnt Luigi unfortunately entered the office. He moved with unsettling sudden twists and turns, reaching out his hand. He grabbed my throat and held me up, slamming me into the arcade cabinet beside me, damaging it. Looking back at him, I noticed I was bleeding slightly. Burnt Luigi stood there as his puppets hovered behind him. Prototype Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, Lolbit, which for her isn't unusual, and Bonnet floated there with pitch black eyes, looking strangely sad. They hovered for a moment before he gave the command. Get him. The vengeful ones floated toward me, and I woke up in a sweat. I was incredibly thankful to wake up from that nightmare, but honestly I need to end this post now. My heart was racing so fast it felt like it could give me a heart attack. I'll post more later. I need to relax. November 12, 2024. Here we go again. Oh, and it's November, nice. I plan to celebrate Thanksgiving during my break when it finally arrives, but I have a feeling that this experience is going to affect it. Once again, there's no video footage unfortunately. But this time, I had another strange dream. I don't know why these dreams keep coming to me, or how I remember them so vividly, especially since I rarely recall any details from my usual dreams. But every single detail sticks with me. Here I am, sitting down and writing these entries, sharing these dreams. Before I start, I want to apologize for the fluctuating quality in my entries. Sometimes the grammar is decent, other times it's just meh. I haven't been getting much sleep lately, but I genuinely pray to God that my posts are understandable. Alright, let me say what I want to say. I woke up in a place that felt eerily similar to my old life. I woke up in my house, feeling happier than I used to be. It's sad to say, but it's true. This was clearly before I ever played the copy, before my brother even touched the game. I can just sense it. I dashed out of my bedroom, ready to greet my parents and brother. But this time, they weren't there. In fact, the whole house, except my bedroom, felt abandoned, which didn't make sense, considering we still cared for it back then. Even today, I live with my brother and my parents. Yes, I know it's been implied that my brother and I are distant, especially since he wrote the original post before I took over, but we are not. We never were. He's just busy, often holed up in his room doing college work. As for the game copies he once had, I showed him my posts, he read them and screamed before finally selling his games. I don't know why he did that, but he hadn't played them since I posted the second entry, so maybe it was for the best. Anyway, back to my dream. The house was abandoned, dark, with light only coming through the windows, and furniture covered in white cloth. Some windows were shattered. When I went to my parents' room, I saw my 3 cats lying on the bed, their skeletons arranged in a circle like some cult ritual. They were colorless, matching the eerie burnt appearance of Luigi. I don't think my cats would just arrange themselves in a circle to die, so I assumed that burnt Luigi had something to do with my parents and animals. I rushed to my brother's room to check on my dog. She was there, also a skeleton, and with the same unsettling resemblance to burnt Luigi. I ran back to my room, panicked, and tried calling the police. But when I dialed, there was no signal. Instead, a robotic voice came through the line, saying something I wasn't expecting.
Don't disappoint Luigi.
Shaken, I grabbed my phone and ran out of the house, calling out for my neighbors. No one answered. All the houses were empty, no cars parked anywhere. Our own car and truck were missing. Slowly, I started to tear up. I've cried in dreams before, but this time felt different. My family had abandoned me, it seemed, along with our pets, who all starved to death. But then, strangely, I stopped crying and just walked down the stairs. I checked my phone, asking Siri for the date. She replied that it was June of 1996, the same year and month Super Mario 64 was released. I felt both disturbed and amazed. Somehow I was in 1996, despite being born in the 2000s. I looked at my phone and realized it was still an iPhone, the same model I have now, even though they weren't invented yet. Siri wasn't around either. I started to feel like I was breaking reality. I looked at my clothes, still modern, no 90s look. My phone began glitching, as if it knew it didn't belong here. I pocketed it and headed toward GameStop. I'm sure you already know what I'm referring to, from my previous posts. As I walked, I noticed cars and people in 90s attire, who looked at me strangely, probably because I looked out of place. When I reached GameStop, I saw a man wearing a uniform from some company. He was holding a box full of Nintendo 64 games. I remember my brother got Majora's Mask here, but that game didn't release until the 2000s. I cautiously approached him, and he looked at me with worried eyes. He whispered,
"Don't tell anyone, please."
I nodded, only to see 5 strange men approach us. They were dressed in black, wearing hats shaped like horns and covered in symbols. They looked like cult members, and one of them held an old 14th century looking book on witchcraft. Their faces were shadowed, but when they turned toward us, their faces were horrific, drooping, mangled, eyeless, bloodied. The one in the middle had hollow eyes and an open mouth that seemed to be screaming, maggots pouring out in a way that resembled vomit. Suddenly they began thrusting their arms and dancing around us, chanting, "Don't disappoint Luigi," over and over. Then out of nowhere, something was thrown over my head, and I couldn't breathe. I gasped for air as something tightened around my neck. It felt like a noose. The bag was pulled off, and I saw a line of more people dressed in the same way. In the middle of them stood a monument that looked like the Eternal Star statue, exactly as it appears in the game. They stared at me, repeating, "You have disappointed Luigi and shall be sacrificed." A chill ran down my spine. I know this kind of thing isn't always scary in media, but just imagine being in my shoes. You'd be terrified too, right? I tried to hold back my nausea, but one of the figures behind me suddenly shoved my head down into a basin at the base of the statue. The water turned red as they stabbed me, and I felt the life drain out of me as I drowned. I jolted awake, back in my house, with the sound of the TV in the living room calming me. I'll try to record this game again, but those strange men haunt my thoughts. I'll do some research, though there's a chance I won't find anything. This copy of Super Mario 64 is practically unknown to the public. I just found it, and it haunts my dreams. Still, I've noticed people are paying attention to my Luigi.wmv video. Thank you for sharing it around. I want this story to get out there because I'm genuinely scared. I know I've made that clear already, but I'm trying to add a bit of humor just to keep myself calm. Inside though, I'm horrified. November 16, 2024. Since the 8th post and after my nightmares, I started researching those strange people I saw. Before I explain further, yes, I will share the video footage. Anyway, I searched online for anything related to my dream, and I had no choice but to use the Wayback Machine. I found something interesting. Since I'm not as tired as before, these paragraphs may be longer than usual. I built up the motivation to do this. This came from a gaming article that was taken down by Nintendo to cover up something. I will explain briefly. Around the release of Super Mario 64, a man named Bill Turner, described as very disobedient, got a job at Nintendo headquarters. He was obsessed with Luigi and allegedly became angry when employees toyed with his obsession. They added Luigi to the game but eventually removed him afterward. Bill even went so far as to name himself Luigi, which is probably where Take a Soda got that theory from several posts ago. He also threatened employees, including the creator of Super Mario, in a manner similar to how Mario and Bowser died in my copy. After his threats, Bill stormed out of the building and was approached by 5 men, similar to the ones I saw in my dream. These individuals were referred to in the article as the Eternal Stalkers, a name likely inspired by the Eternal Star Monument found in Peach's castle courtyard. The article speculated on how they knew about the monument before the game's release, but the answer is unclear. These men offered to help Bill. They requested a copy of the game, performed a spell on it using a witchcraft book from the 14th century, and handed it back to him. They instructed him to take the modified game to a GameStop, coincidentally the same one near my local Walmart, a sub-mall. This explains how my brother found it there. Bill also brought other games with him to make the delivery appear less suspicious. This explains why my brother was able to buy Majora's Mask as well. For those who don't know, my brother actually sold that game after reading my posts. It makes sense since he no longer plays Nintendo 64 games and wants nothing to do with them now. The article mentioned that the 5 men appeared out of nowhere after Bill placed the games on the shelves, unnoticed by the cashier. Interestingly, the cashier was fired afterward for failing to enforce security measures. These men explained how the Easter egg worked, detailing the controller trick. Pressing down on the D-pad, the B button and the left shoulder button triggered the phenomenon. They also explained the significance of these buttons. B stood for burnt, the left shoulder button stood for Luigi, and the down button symbolized the happy-go-lucky green plumber sinking in lava, a specific reference to Lethal Lava Land. Afterward, the men warned Bill not to tell anyone about the incident and said, "Don't disappoint Luigi." This is the exact phrase used by Burnt Luigi in my game. As for the article's takedown, it's likely that Nintendo removed it to cover up the truth and how they mistreated one of their employees. No apology was ever made. This is the information I found, and it's a lot to unpack. Honestly, the game's occasional high-resolution visuals stood out starkly against its usual graphics. Given the backstory involving 5 men and their witchcraft rituals, it seemed plausible that these elements had somehow altered the game's limitations. Not being tech-savvy, I couldn't explain how this was possible. Maybe the coding simply couldn't cope, or perhaps the ritual had overridden the system's restrictions. I don't know. Thinking about the game's history made me dwell on these graphical anomalies. Maybe time will reveal the truth to me, and to you, the reader. Or maybe the answer has been in front of us all along, waiting to be understood. Were they disturbing? Absolutely. Odd? Without a doubt. For the in-game events, I booted up the game, and as you can see on YouTube, uploaded under the name Eternal.wmv, the game still looked mostly the same. However, I noticed something strange about the castle. The wall's textures appeared rusty, with faint bloodstains. The water looked disgusting, brownish with a slight red tint. I avoided touching it entirely. The texture gave the impression that the building was abandoned or rotting, with the water contaminated. I also checked the cannon area near the castle, and the water there looked equally contaminated. I avoided approaching it. In the game, I ran around, exploring. When I got close to the castle door, I noticed the brownish texture again, as previously described. Once inside, the castle was still as welcoming as always. I almost wished to stay in the castle for the entire playthrough. It felt like the only bright, inviting area in the game. I approached the door to Bob-omb Battlefield and opened it. However, the painting was different. Instead of the 3 bob-ombs against a bright clouded sky, the portrait was pitch black, displaying the ominous phrase, "Don't disappoint Luigi." I hesitated but realized I had no choice and jumped into the level. I hoped it would still be Bob-omb Battlefield. Instead of Big Bob-omb on the summit, the course title was simply, "Don't disappoint Luigi." The level itself resembled Bob-omb Battlefield, but with differences. Thankfully, the enemies were still there. I even saw the chain chomp this time, but it looked strange, its pupils were missing, and it behaved differently. I tried to get a screenshot but gave up due to the falling and bouncing blue balls getting in the way. I collected the star near the gate and exited the level. When I returned to the castle, I noticed the level name reverted to Big Bob-omb on the summit, as it should have been. Feeling uneasy, I went to the courtyard. There I saw something disturbing, a tall pitch-black figure with horns and a golden object resembling Bowser's head around its neck. Surrounding the fountain were 5 similar figures, exactly like the ones from my dream. Their red eyes glowed faintly, and their mouths resembled burnt Luigi's twisted face. I didn't approach them but circled the courtyard to observe them closely before leaving. Their clothing had small white specks across the chest and down to the skirts. After leaving the courtyard, I tried exploring the basement, but it was locked. I wandered back to the castle bridge and looked at the contaminated water. At one point, I almost fell in, but the game auto-corrected, letting me grab the edge and climb back up. Eventually I returned to the courtyard, but this time, I lost control of my character. The game controlled itself, guiding Luigi to the fountain's edge, where he stood motionless for a while. This moment made me realize the connection to my dream. The eternal stalkers were reenacting Luigi's drowning in the fountain. I believe this represents the events that occurred before I somehow unlocked Luigi, breaking the game. My character jumped into the water, causing the game to crash. Afterward, a notepad file appeared on my desktop with the following text. Hello. Below this were several lines of blank spaces, followed by a wall of numbers that formed burnt Luigi's face. I closed it immediately. Later, when uploading the footage, I received a message on Discord from burnt Luigi himself. He sent the following message before blocking me. You disappointed Luigi. Terrified, I turned off my computer and went to sleep. In my dream, I was lying in a field. It felt peaceful at first, but when I stood up, I found myself in front of my abandoned house, just like in my previous dream. This time, however, the world looked identical to Super Mario 64, and I resembled my in-game Luigi model. My footsteps sounded like those from the game as I entered the house. It resembled Big Boo's haunt, and faint audio of the merry-go-round theme played somewhere inside. I found my old room, now abandoned. I tried pulling out my phone, but it wasn't there. I couldn't call for help. In the hallway, I saw the faceless Mario figure from my 4th post. He stood silently, then spoke for the first time.
Hello. I'm Stanley. We meet again, hasn't we?
He extended his hand for a handshake, which I accepted without hesitation. Suddenly I heard footsteps behind me. Stanley fled, saying only,
Please.
When I turned around, burnt Luigi was there. He grabbed my jar with a vice-like grip, forcing his fingers into my mouth. I gagged as he slowly forced it open. A bone popped as he threw me to the ground. His fingers were cold and bony as he caressed my face. He then opened his jaw and vomited maggots into my mouth. I woke up immediately, feeling something crawling inside my mouth. Horrified, I ran to the bathroom and vomited into the toilet. My dad heard me and rushed to check on me. My brother drove me to the hospital. I explained what happened to the doctors, who were horrified by my description. Out of concern, my parents urged me to take a break from the game. I've decided to do just that. I will update this post occasionally to let you know I'm okay and share whether I feel any better. For now, I need rest and time to recover. November 19, 2024. For those wondering, I am doing okay, and once I fully recover, I will return to recording more footage. However, I noticed something odd. On my Discord status, it displayed the phrase, "Don't disappoint Luigi." The same phrase also appeared briefly in a note on my Instagram, but thankfully it was only temporary. On my recent YouTube video, Eternal.wmv, the exact phrase was posted in the comment section and pinned. I have since removed those, but I'm starting to think I might have been hacked. I don't want to assume the worst though. What's strange is that none of my friends even pointed it out, they just assumed I was trying to sound scary or edgy. November 20th, 2024. I'm doing fine again. For now, I'm taking a break from the Super Mario 64 copy, especially after my incident with burnt Luigi. Recently I've been playing Super Mario World, an installment for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Many gamers are familiar with it. It's a good game to revisit, even during rough times. However, I encountered something strange at the very start of this game. It might have been a hallucination, but I managed to record it, so maybe it wasn't. I'm starting to wonder if the virus has spread to this copy too. I don't want to jump to ridiculous conclusions, like a ghost haunting my computer, but during the intro where Mario is introduced to Dinosaur Land, the point of advice box displayed a single phrase, "Don't disappoint Luigi." Then I saw him, burn Luigi, in Super Mario World's art style. He appeared from the other side of the screen, ran directly toward Mario, and the screen cut to black. What the heck was that? I'll try to upload what I saw sometime today. If I can't, maybe I was dreaming or just seeing things. I know it's cliche to say, I must be seeing things, but that's often how people react when encountering something this strange, even if it feels real. Anyway, that's all for now. I'll provide updates whenever I have the time. Once I fully recovered, I'll get back to recording. There's more to this game than I initially thought, and I know people are wondering why I'm still pursuing this. The truth is, I have no choice, I need to stop him. November 21st, 2024. Yesterday evening, I visited my Discord server and noticed something bizarre. Burn Luigi had embedded himself as a bot. Out of nowhere, he moved me into a channel he created called Ask Burn Luigi. The channel seemed like an illusion, none of the other members could see it, or so I thought. Surprisingly, one of our members managed to interact in it. My brother joined in and began asking Burn Luigi questions. His responses were nonsensical and cryptic. For example, when my brother jokingly asked if he was racist, "Yes, I know, what a question to ask," Burn Luigi responded with, "Skin is bone." The two of us were confused but slightly amused, especially since we were dealing with this while bringing our mom to a hospital appointment. "Don't worry, nothing serious, just routine." Interestingly, Burn Luigi's grammar seemed worse than I remembered. While he used lowercase exclusively, as many do on platforms like Discord, he also spoke in extremely short sentences, typically 5 words or fewer, and his responses barely made sense. My brother decided to humor the situation by asking him more questions. Here's an excerpt of our conversation. Unkept, hello, what in the world is wrong with you? Burn Luigi, wrong is me. Unkept, Trump or Biden? Burn Luigi, Mario screams. Unkept, Trump or Kamala? Burn Luigi, eternal pain. Unkept, American politics? Burn Luigi, haunting dreams. Unkept, are you racist? Burn Luigi, skin is bone. Unkept, are you homophobic? Burn Luigi, darkness is home. That's just a small portion of the exchange. If you're part of the JTS server, you might find the rest there. Later, Burn Luigi messaged me directly as a bot, though now I'm unsure if he was always a bot or something else entirely. His messages were surprisingly coherent compared to the earlier chat. Burn Luigi, don't disappoint Luigi. He followed up a few hours later. Burn Luigi, Joseph, don't you want to know more about my dark and twisted history? I can show you things that will send shivers down your spine. And maybe, just maybe, you'll join my cult and worship me too. What do you say? Me, I'm not joining the Eternal Stalkers, but sure, tell me your history. Burn Luigi repeats cryptic details already shared in earlier posts. Me, you DM'd me because you want me to play the copy again, didn't you? Burn Luigi, yes, play it again. Me, will you stop hacking my computer after I finish the game? Burn Luigi, no promises. Me, please, I need my computer back to normal. Burn Luigi, torture Mario first. Me, I already did that in the game when I was told to drown him under Peach's castle bridge. Burn Luigi, not enough. Me, what do you want me to do then? Burn Luigi, make him scream. This interaction left me utterly confused. Burn Luigi recapped his origins, which I already knew, and insisted that I play the haunted copy again. On top of that, he wanted me to join his cult, which is absolutely not happening. As for my computer, he made no promises to stop hacking it. Honestly, this doesn't feel like a haunting, it feels like a sophisticated virus. I rely on my computer for school, and the thought of losing it to this nightmare is unbearable. I prefer homeschooling because going to in-person school worsened my health issues, some of which were caused by this very ordeal. Bird Luigi also demanded that I torment Mario again, even though I've already done so, as detailed in my 4th post. I'm at a loss about how to proceed. On a positive note, one of my YouTube viewers suggested I take a break, watch some cute animal videos, and relax. I think I'll take their advice. The good news is that my nightmares have significantly lessened, and I feel like I'm close to breaking free from this nightmare. I'm okay for now, and I'll keep taking my medication. When I have more progress to share, I'll update you all with my 10th post. Hopefully this ordeal will end soon. November 22nd, 2024. This will be my final update. Don't worry, I'm not ending my life. Why would I let a game drive me to that? Yes, I'm dealing with serious problems, but I know I can overcome them. When I say final update, I just mean I'm sharing my thoughts before I take a real break. I still plan to post the 10th entry about my experience with the game, likely after Thanksgiving. Yesterday after my family and I left the hospital for my mom's appointment, nothing serious, we stopped by Longhorn Steakhouse to eat. On the way there, while sitting in the back seat of the car, I swear I saw one of the eternal stalkers running behind the restaurant. He wasn't just running, he was flailing his arms, and almost dancing in this bizarre jerky manner. I debated whether to tell my parents, but I didn't want them to think I was still playing the haunted game. Strangely, the people nearby didn't seem to react much. Maybe if you noticed, but they just shrugged it off like he was some drunk guy or prankster. I decided to stay silent, though it left me uneasy. When we got inside the restaurant, my parents noticed I seemed withdrawn. They chalked it up to my anxiety, and my mom handed me a lorazepam. I took it with my tea, yes I enjoy tea despite its divisive reputation, and started to calm down. Even so, the sight of that figure stuck with me. Knowing what the eternal stalkers have done to me in my nightmares, and for anyone new here, I was drowned and decapitated by them in a dream, I couldn't shake the feeling that something worse might happen. But I stayed quiet and focused on dinner. Then last night, I had another dream. And yes, it was disturbing. Once again I was back in the Super Mario 64 courtyard, as Luigi, the one from the game, not Bird Luigi, again. For new readers, this Luigi isn't Bird Luigi, just the character I unlocked through a glitch. In the dream, I stood in front of the Eternal Star Monument. The 5 Eternal Stalkers were there again, in the same positions as before. One of them turned to me and said,
Get closer.
I yelled back, No, not this time. I will not be sacrificed, and bolted toward the castle's exit. I managed to run further than usual and entered the basement. As I ran, I heard water flowing from the courtyard and the sound of fast footsteps following me. Against my better judgment, I peeked back through the doorway, and that's when I saw him. Bird Luigi. But he looked different. His eyes were obscured by his hat, leaving only his nostrils and that unnerving gaping mouth with rotting teeth visible. His body was grotesquely distorted, long, flat and bending in unnatural ways. His arms stretched upward before curving downward, his fingers unnaturally elongated. His legs were just as stretched and warped, his shoes bizarrely extended. His entire form felt wrong. Before I could process this, he lunged at me. I slammed the door and whispered, "What is that thing?" I fled deeper into the basement, where parts were flooded. That's when I saw Mapes, Peach's yellow rabbit. Out of desperation, I ran to him, picked him up, and hugged him tightly. Surprisingly, he stayed with me, sensing my fear. I felt a glimmer of comfort. But then the footsteps grew louder. I felt Bird Luigi's hand touch my back, and I woke up screaming louder than I ever have. My parents rushed in, and I told them everything, the nightmare, the figure at Longhorn Steakhouse, all of it. To my relief, they believed me. They assured me they'd protect me and asked me to tell them immediately if I ever see one of those figures again. Today, Bird Luigi texted me again, asking me to join his cult. My answer remains the same. Not happening. December 3rd, 2024. Just letting everyone on Tumblr know as well. Thanksgiving is over, so I'll be continuing the blog again soon. Quick update, I could have sworn I saw one of the eternal stalkers watching me from the forest as my parents and I drove by. It was just out of the corner of my eye, but I really hope I was imagining it. I think I need some rest. On another note, Burnt Luigi seems to have stopped talking to me. Maybe he's angry because I insulted him or kept refusing to engage with him. Either way, my answer remains the same, absolutely not. I'm not joining his cult. He needs to shut up already. February 6, 2025. I want to start this post with a note. I haven't been getting much sleep lately, so the grammar is probably going to be a little rusty. The stuff that's been happening to me, like Burnt Luigi appearing in my nightmares and threatening me, has been draining my motivation to continue these things, but I will try my best. I am sorry guys, and I hope you all understand. I don't want to drag this on, so I will go ahead and start. I don't know how to feel about my life nowadays. I feel like my only purpose is to play this copy of Super Mario 64 and nothing more. Yes, I've seen those comments you all made asking me to just stop doing this, and I am aware of them. But the thing is, I want to keep playing this copy until I defeat Burnt Luigi and revert the game back to normal. I would also like to apologize for the fact that I haven't been posting, and now it's 2025. Pretty late to even say that, as today is the 6th of February while I am typing this post. But I want to be nice and say, Happy Late New Year, to all those reading this. Now many of you are probably wondering why I am randomly returning after a hiatus. You may have expected that the 9th post would be the final one, but you'd be wrong, as I would have said so in the post. I literally just stated in the update on the 3rd of December that I would be continuing the blog soon. But many people immediately assumed I had quit, which wasn't the case. Did I get over the Burnt Luigi incident? No, unfortunately, and I wish I could say I did. Recently, if you saw my post on Tumblr about this, yes, I got my account hacked, and as you guessed, Burnt Luigi took control. He promised me he would give it back if I played the game again. And that's exactly what I am going to do. I'm here to record more of my experience. So I opened Project 64 and took it from there. Also, if you're seeing this and can't find the video yet, it's because I haven't gotten around to uploading it or it's currently in the process of uploading. If you're confused about that, I apologize for the inconvenience. For now, I'll share what I saw in the game. Before I continue, many details may not make sense, but once you see the footage, everything will click into place. Please try to visualize what I'm talking about, or if you're already familiar with how the game works, you might understand what I mean. Anyway, I opened the file, and instead of starting in front of the castle, I was at the entrance of the courtyard where the Eternal Star Monument is, the place where I died previously and was sacrificed by those tall men. I walked out of the castle, and as I faced the outside of the castle grounds, I was weirded out by something. The bridge appeared to be black, or at least invisible, as I could walk on it. The only visible objects were the railings of the bridge. I was scared to walk on it, worried that I'd fall through and die. Risking it, I walked onto the bridge. As it turned out, the ground was just invisible. Then I walked on the path, which was also missing. Even the fences were gone. With no clue about where I was going, I seemed to have left the path and was just walking on the grass. I put that in quotes for a reason. Soon I climbed up a hill and slid down to what I thought was the cannon, which shoots you up onto the roof of the castle, floating in midair. I think I knew where I was. This area seemed to be where the water used to be, not the water under the bridge, but I saw no water. There were no fish, no sand, nothing. I climbed onto the cannon, and the bars that originally blocked it off were black, so I thought I'd be able to enter it and launch myself onto the roof for fun. As expected, I wasn't able to use it. I ran forward and jumped into what seemed to be the water, unsure of where I was going. I just started swimming, and soon enough, I realized where I had ended up. I was under the bridge. However, judging by how long I had been in the water, I started to drown. I swam upward again, regaining Luigi's air, and I was fine. I remember in one of my posts, I originally entered the water to drown Mario at the game's request, but this time as I swam forward under the bridge, I was able to get somewhere. Luigi swam aimlessly, and in desperation, I tried to swim back to the surface before he drowned. But the game, or at least, what I assumed to be burnt Luigi, was trying to keep him underwater. I managed to restore Luigi's air to 3 bars and kept swimming. Then it happened. Luigi started gasping for air until I saw something off in the distance. The camera was shaking too much for me to get a clear view, and then Luigi finally collapsed and started floating in the water. The game crashed, and I got a file in my notepad again, and it was from him. Good, exactly what I wanted from you. You are free to have access to your Discord account again. I changed the password back to the original one for you, Joseph. You should be able to log in again, but remember, do not disappoint Luigi again, my friend. You really like Luigi and see him as your favorite character. You wouldn't disappoint your favorite character, right? I simply deleted the notepad file and entered Discord. I logged into the account and was able to access it. I noticed that Burnt Luigi had changed my display name to Luigi, so I changed it back to Joseph, along with my profile picture. I checked my server and noticed that the icon had changed. Instead of the usual yellow JTS logo, it showed Burnt Luigi's face. I changed it back to normal and checked my direct messages. Burnt Luigi had been sending threats, asking people to do his bidding, and talking about maggots. The maggot part was explained in unnecessarily graphic detail, along with strange and nonsensical phrases about Nintendo's innocence, starting from 1889, the year the company was founded before video games existed, and ending in 1996, the year Super Mario 64 was released. The creation date of Super Mario 64 was self-explanatory, but it was still weird. What disturbed me the most was how Burnt Luigi seemed to express some love for me, since I see Luigi as my favorite character, and he even pointed that out in one of my nightmares. He caressed my face after breaking my jaw. Just talking about this makes me uncomfortable, so I'll move on. I was busy and doing the changes until I saw the most disturbing things ever in the maintenance channel on my server, which is occasionally used for bot programming and such. I know what I'm about to say may sound cliche to some, but for any co-founder in the server who's reading this, you can see these yourselves. You need to take my word for it. I'm not sharing these images because I don't want to think about them again. The first photo was of what seemed to be me screaming with my eyes torn out of my sockets. The background was dark, and there were, wait for it, 3 maggots on my body. One was going into my nose, another was entering my mouth, and one was just chilling on my neck. The second photo showed me waving at the camera in a darkened room with some skin missing from my mouth, nose and eyelids. My bulging eyes were staring in opposite directions, and both images had one thing in common: my teeth were rotting. Luckily I managed to forget about those images afterward, but I'm going to end this post here. I'll make more later, don't worry. The thing is, I still haven't completely forgotten about them. I've had some nightmares here and there, but that's about it luckily. Thank you for reading this post, and please check my channel periodically until the video is published. February 22, 2025. I haven't been getting enough sleep lately, so grammatical errors are guaranteed. I figured out why the castle grounds were showcasing nothing but black. He explained it all to me, the Stanley figure did. As I logged back into my computer, I received a new notepad from him, and shockingly it wasn't from Burnt Luigi this time. Here's what it said. Hello Joseph, do you remember me? I know we rarely spoke to each other, as we both kept bumping into him. But do you remember what happened in the game, the void that was exposed and how you were swimming in nothingness? Don't ask how I know about this. Yeah, I recommend not leaving the castle, please stay in it and just beat levels. I've been trying to break the game by causing the castle grounds to be nothing but pitch black in order to zoom in and then trap Burnt Luigi. Actually I have a better idea, but I need time to think about it. Please stay away from the void. After reading that, I could now tell that Stanley isn't trying to hurt me or do anything to me. He's trying to destroy Burnt Luigi, and judging by the last paragraph, he wants me to help. But what about the eternal stalkers? Maybe when Stanley and I kill Burnt Luigi, I'll call the police on them. One thing I don't understand, however, is how Stanley got access to my computer. I guess it's in a similar manner to how Burnt Luigi did it, but not destructively. Actually, I think I do recall seeing Stanley in the game when I had to drown Mario. Is he perhaps Mario's spirit? I'm not trying to expose anything, but if he is, how is Stanley not attacking me? I'm glad he isn't. Regardless, I think he's completely aware of the true reason why I had to do it. That's because I was told to by the monster we know as Burnt Luigi. Then I got a sudden DM on Discord, not from Burnt Luigi, but from Stanley. Here's what he said. Stanley, hello. Me, hey Stanley, what do you need this time? Stanley, I'm just going to use Discord instead of that silly notepad. Burnt Luigi can use that application all he wants, but I'm not going to. I didn't respond, but I reacted to the message with the thumbs up emoji, something I occasionally do when I don't have a clear answer. But using that emoji is fair. Then Stanley gave me a warning. He told me not to leave the castle under any circumstances, and if I even tried, he would control my character and bring me back inside. Simple as that, no threats. But he didn't say anything about the courtyard, so I'll try that for testing purposes and of course try leaving the castle to see what happens. Look, as the old saying goes, curiosity just got the best of me, and I really want to make sure I am truly protected by Stanley. I'm relying on him for my safety. I loaded up Project 64 and did my usual routine, but this time I was inside the castle. As I tried to walk out, the game itself, or at least what I thought to be Stanley, automatically kept me from going outside. I'm assuming the void is dangerous, as I drowned from it in my previous playthrough. I was actually scared I wouldn't be able to reload the game again, as I thought the void would corrupt it and prevent it from opening. But I guess I was rescued by Stanley and warned not to do it again. This is going to be a really short video compared to the previous ones. Also, I'd like to thank those who watched the Thalassophobia.wmv video. I'm genuinely amazed by the things you guys discover in these. Some of you heard laughs in the video, and I'll be honest, I didn't hear them during my playthrough. I guess Burnt Luigi was laughing at me because I drowned myself or something. Anyway, after I ended up back in the castle, I tried the door leading to the hallway and the courtyard. When I opened it and went outside, the exact same thing happened again. My character immediately walked back into the castle. But for a brief moment, the game froze, then quickly switched back to being playable again. That was it, so I closed the game and decided to go to bed to confront Burnt Luigi in a dream. Surprisingly, this dream started off normal at first. Still something felt off, as I was just doing work at the school I hated and left, putting myself into homeschooling. I did my work, but when I looked up at the whiteboard, I saw the teacher, someone I won't name, writing the following phrase. Don't disappoint Luigi. There's that phrase again. That's all I dream about nowadays. Burnt Luigi is never going to leave me alone. Not yet at least, because I remembered this is a dream, so there are no consequences. I grabbed my desk, confusing my teacher, someone I didn't even like in the real world anyway, so this was satisfying. I apologize for bringing up outside drama into this post, but this was just satisfying. Anyway, I threw the desk at the window nearby, startling the class. Then I left to head home and noticed something off the moment I got outside. I checked back in the classroom, and I saw the teacher just standing there, staring at me. She started to make a painful, unsettling grin as she slowly began peeling off her skin. I lost it right when I saw those droopy horns. I ran immediately, not turning back, as I headed back to my hometown. This time, the buildings, once operating, were now decrepit and abandoned. There were just parked cars in the Walmart sub-mall where my brother got that copy of Super Mario 64 from the GameStop. All the buildings were abandoned again, with smashed windows and fire here and there, almost like there was an apocalypse or something straight out of the movie The Purge, and then I headed back to my house. This time, my house was in perfect condition, not abandoned. However, all the neighbors' houses were abandoned. Suddenly the sun started to shine as I placed a hand on the doorknob, hoping to see my parents and hug them tightly, even though they're with me in the real world. I know I still have them, but I feel a sense of loneliness in these dreams. The sun shone, lightening the mood somewhat as I found nothing inside. I walked to my room, only to see burnt Luigi standing there, staring directly at me. Then without warning, he started walking toward me. I ran, immediately searching for my dad's gun to defend myself and hopefully end these dreams for good. I found my dad's pistol, but it wasn't loaded with ammo, so I placed ammo into it. When I turned around, I saw burnt Luigi standing there with his mouth open, maggots spilling out. I ran back to my bedroom, then fell onto my bed by accident, covered with blooming maggots. I didn't care. The moment he showed up, I started firing shots at that monster and emptied my last bullet into his head. Burnt Luigi took damage and got knocked out. Just to make sure he'd leave me alone in these dreams, I approached his body and stomped on burnt Luigi's head, crushing it. I wasn't going to use that gun on myself, so I apologize if I implied that. Burnt Luigi was dead, or at least now in my dreams. I'm making decent progress, and since that day, I haven't had nightmares involving him. I'll see what Stanley's plan is in the meantime. I think these posts and my suffering will end soon. March 10, 2025. I thought today would be the perfect day to post this update. Since it's Mario Day, I'm updating this 11th post on a positive note. Luckily I'm doing fine at the moment, as I haven't had any nightmares about burnt Luigi lately, not since the day I shot him in that one dream. Check out the post if you need a refresher. To hold you all over, I've spoken with burnt Luigi, and he said some strange and cryptic things. They all appear to be in binary code, and if you want to translate them yourself, you can use a tool like rapidtables.com or something similar. If you want to give it a try, here's what he said. I tried translating these on a few different sites, but I got results like, "Don't disappoint Luigi," and "Skin is bone." Surely my computer is acting up because he's practically in it now, but your results may be different.